good old Cherie. She goes through this. She's struggling. She decides to give in to the herb shapes. She decides to give in, become the Black Panther. She gives herself over spiritually. And who's waiting for her there? That asshole.
Good old Killmonger. With his regrown hair.
He's great. He's just sits there. What's his second line? She goes, I didn't expect you to find here. Well, that's bullshit, isn't it? It's just, there he is. He's just calling bullshit. Everyone in that whole world talks eloquently and royally, and he just says that's bullshit. It's like, he's here, and then at the end, you're gonna do what your brother did, or you're gonna do the business. That's just. I'm so glad they found a way to beautifully bring him into the story.
Look, we got to make sure we understand. Michael B. Jordan is to Ryan Coogler what Leonardo DiCaprio is to Martin Scorsese at this point.
Yes, I mean, but what a way to, and it works so well just in the story. She was burning up. She wanted, of course, she's going to call upon. That's what on the inside, she says, I want to burn the world. And who does she link into? The guy who wants to burn the world, But
the thing that actually even makes it more impressive is the fact that it's a guy, not just that he wants to burn the world, but also rocks in the exact same way of the hyper genius who doesn't have the highest faith in the spiritual world and has actually more so resentment against the spiritual world and heavy focus on the technological world, and then it goes through the guise of wanting to burn the world down. And so the parallel is bigger than just the anger, but it is in literally being the opposite, and almost being her in a sense. The person close to her, her father died, her mother died, his father died. Killed, abandoned, yada, yada, yada. Yeah,
it's just, that was so good. I saw it again and I loved it the second time around. Just, here he is. He's an asshole. He's got such an attitude. He's such a good baddie. He's got to be, in the echelon, we always talk about top fives, but he's got to be in every top five of baddies.
He is. Look, again, whenever his rhetoric sounds good enough for you to actually make hyper think pieces on it and consider it, even though the rhetoric is absolutely purely sociopathic. But if you actually listen, but it was just enough to be able to say, like, they got some. He walked so Thanos could run, in my opinion.
Yeah, oh, there you go. That's a thought. He's a great villain. He's right up there, the very best of the best. And it's so good they found a way. I just hope that, next time they make another one, Coogler doesn't just put him in there because he found
bring
a perfect
him back to
way
life.
To put him.
Man, don't bring that man back to life. The sad part is we're probably gonna get a multiverse version of him for like the Secret Wars or something like that, or the battle against Kang. But like, I just don't want him to be back because he's too overpowered. Like, he's too smart, too charming, too ingenious, too conniving. Like, he's so OP'd without actually having any real powers. Obviously outside of the heart-shaped herb stuff.
He's just attitude. He's just attitude. He's just, he's focused. He's smart. He's just attitude. And
exactly.
What do you actually think of Namor?
I was, again, another person who was remarkably OP'd, not in a negative way. Like, it was great. I'm so happy that it took from a real story of the lost city of Maya, the lost Mayan city, not just in the fact that they lost, but literally the actual concept of the flooding and everything like that. Like, that's really part of the Mayan story. And then to tie that into the Atlantean story, which was great, and make it about the natives and not the Western element. So a lot of people want to be like, it was Mexicans, and it's like they're not Mexicans. They're not. They don't have Spanish blood running through them, as we see as they basically took out the Spanish in that moment. It is you are natives, so you are strictly, you're South American or Southern North Americans. So there was that element there, and then the fact that like he was genuinely charming, he was genuinely interesting. Now I wouldn't put him into the same grade as I put a Killmonger, because I don't think that this is where I go back to, I don't feel like the movie has as much cultural impact, even though I think it's a better storyline. I don't think that there's anything that he would have said that made me go, I get it, or I don't. Like, I do feel like it was just like, it's a normal, run of the mill kind of villain, but he with good intentions. He's the villain with good intentions. I thought him attacking Wakanda was wild, even though I get that vibranium is the stuff and is the matcher. But I like him as a leader. I liked him as an opponent, but they're either going to clearly depower him over time, because they literally said it. They're like, yo, this guy is as strong as the Hulk, which is comic accurate, but he flies and he can be underwater while also being above water. Like, they're going to have to find, like, I worry that they're going to do to him what they did to Thor, but I don't think that they will, because at some point Namor is going to have to be a benevolent villain or an anti-hero. And at that point, it's like, how powerful will he be in that case? Because in this situation, like, he had an endless, like, I'm going, how many people live in Takalakan? How many people live
apparently
in that
tons.
beach? Right, because it didn't seem like there was an endless army that just kept coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. So it's like, I need to understand, because this dude feels like he's more powerful than Asgardians, which I guess now would make more sense, because Asgardians aren't that powerful now. But more powerful than the Asgardians, which were the only other real race of people that we had as a power set. Everybody else was individualized. And then you have Namor, who's basically does everything. So I'm interested to see where they go with him, because he can't be a one-off. But I did like what they brought with him. I liked his character. I liked his attitude. The actor killed it. I thought his presence was intimidating, and that's hard to do with fucking little feather wings on your ankle, to not look stupid as hell.
Romina did not like those wings.
I
thought they were cool.
Honestly, my wife was like, I hate the look of all the Talakadlans, because like, it's just like, it's what is it, that fear of bumps thing.
Right. Okay.
And that's what she felt like also with Namor's wings. It was just like uncomfortable. Going down that deep was uncomfortable. Like, you felt the pressure, which speaks to the volume of the movie cinema. But like, it was just all that uncomfortable, plus the nose dots and things everywhere. And I was just like,
some people didn't like the blue. Some people
I enjoyed it, but
I didn't care at all. I thought it was great.
What
I would like to have seen more. A little bit more with the Talakan people. Is I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the dynamics going on under there. Like, it seemed to be the Namor with two
his generals basically.
And we didn't see him interact or have a relationship or be challenged by and maybe they don't have enough time, but that's just, I just would have liked to know a little bit more of the politics, a little bit was going down there, and I would have had a little bit more vested interest in them, and maybe they can do that down the road. But I would have liked to have seen at least someone else in that who he really loved and cared for in there, so we could see a little bit of his. We saw him as the king and the god,
Right.
and Mbako says like this guy's a god, but it means that
The serpent god.
big props to the I just said his name and I can't say it again. Big props to Winston Duke and his. He's stepping up. Like he had some real depth to him this time, and some real wisdom.
Yep.
He reads books. They read books. They read books. We read books, We have books. He stepped up. I love the little he stepped up fighting as well. He was pretty good because they did that they kind of down. They started off a little OP. The foot soldiers of Talokan.
Yeah.
When they were, you thought, shit, these guys are great, because they don't get killed. And then you've kind of got Mugabe just whacking them with sticks, and you're thinking, right. But I mean, they come back in the end. Like they were losing that battle. Like when it was Wakandans versus Talokans, the Talokans won nearly every battle they fought.
Yeah, I mean, because whenever it's the power of the water, like that was a stupid. I almost felt like that was one of the stupidest plans. You're gonna put a giant ship in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the ocean, with just you guys, even with the sound stuff. And this is the advantage with. I mean, they had a little bit of air support, but again, it goes back to the name or power thing. Like.
They were working on. It was a crazy idea, but the idea simply was, and it kind of worked, was take out cut the head off, cut the head off,
and
get rid of
the body.
And that's what I do. As much as I love M'Baku, the really serious strategic thing, if you had killed him. I know he said he's a god and there'll be an eternal war, but from what I saw of that culture, which wasn't much, there really wasn't a 2IC. There really wasn't anyone else. There was those two people, but they looked like followers, not leaders. And so the idea was take out Namor, and then once Namor's been caught, and they got him in there, they fried him out. Like that, and what's really good about that kind of ending is it showed Shuri and Riri's intelligence kind of coming to the fore, because all their technology was worthless against Namor and the Target. They were beating them in every war. But in that sense, they figured out they were taking him off the battlefield, and then the whole idea was that they were obviously going to get up. It's time to fly. Like they had that moment when they said, right, we've got to get out of here, because they knew they were going to lose if they stayed in the water. But of course, they came out with these bombs and
that was the other thing too. I was a little surprised that not surprised, but I was a little sad that we didn't get a little bit more of an evening of the battle, because there was that one part when it comes with the Talokans, in the fact that when they were on the bridge and Okoye sliced them up, and then they rose back up again, which was super weird. I was like, oh, so are they like zombies now or something like that? So when it came to then the battle on the boat, I'm like, how is it that I actually didn't see how you actually take out the Talokans? Because in my opinion, the only way would have been to knock out the breathing devices that they have on them. But at no point was it they said it, but at no point did they show aiming to take out the breathing devices that would immediately weaken this entire army from existing.
Yep, I agree. Yep. Yeah, there's little things like that. They kind of built them up one way and then didn't really capital on it really, really well. Except what I got out of the second time round, though, was that the Talokans, Wakanda could not beat the Talokans, right? From what I could see. But Black Panther could beat
Namor.
And it really goes back into the whole idea of Wakanda and the Black Panther myth, is that the Black Panther is the protector of Wakanda. It cannot survive without the Black Panther.
Right.
And because at the start, they're beating their chest saying, hey, guys, we don't need we may have lost the Black Panther, but you guys can't overtake us. You guys can't overtake us. We're still strong. And then Namor kind of comes away. Well, maybe you're strong to them, the French army, but you're not strong against us. Then they need the Black Panther back.
Right.
So it really kind of does the full 180 and saying at first you go, oh, they don't need the Black Panther back. Maybe they do. Because again, if the Black Panther doesn't beat Namor, they're toast. They're toast. And just, I guess in summary, what I will say is I just was really impacted both times by that movie. Yeah. And it impacted me more than the original Black Panther, even though it has, I believe, a couple more weaknesses in the storytelling than Black Panther. It's all about the emotion, right? It's all about you walking away from that cinema going, and I did. And the second time round, it probably held up even better. Second time round.
And now you have like a better context of what everything is. And so now you get to fill in the blanks with the parts that you might have skimmed over.
Let's give total props to Coogler, right? Let's just.
He can't miss. He can't miss. Also, and I don't want us to get away from this last part before we continue. I am thoroughly impressed, though I still will say it's a slight bit of a cop-out on how they solved the T'Challa problem moving forward. Because I know
are you talking about the post-credit?
With T'Challa.
Yes.
Like, it is very interesting because it's super multi-layered in so many ways. Number one way was always going to be the T'Challa, Nakia, and eventual Storm situation, because obviously we're going to get an X-Men. We're going to get a Storm, and we're going to get a comic book accurate-esque Storm in terms of at least her origin, which means she's going to either be an African princess or she's going to be a daughter of Black Americans who died, and she was raised by a group of Africans of whatever country. I think they always kind of mentioned her towards Kenya, but like that she was raised there. One of these two elements are going to play in to her storyline. And that was always going to lead. There's always going to be the question of, is Storm who is going to marry T'Challa in the MCU? Under the Chadwick Boseman Black Panther that started before they got the rights to Fox and the X-Men, Nakia clearly was the love story. Was always the love story. And I don't think there is a way that you're going to make the audience go against Lupita Nyong'o, who seems to be one of the coolest actresses in the game right now. Exactly. Same. I was like, no, there's no working against this unless you make Nakia just be like, oh, I don't want to do anything with the throne and you're left to your own devices. But I don't think they were going to do that, because I think the chemistry between Chadwick and Lupita, let alone T'Challa and Nakia, was going to be way too strong to allow it to happen.
Yeah.
So now with this element of the kid, you get and also, I could see they also wanted to bring the Caribbean into it, even though technically that kid has no Haitian blood in him. But it's like they wanted to bring a little bit of the Caribbean, the power of the Caribbean, because they played the African side, the Black American side, but they never really had much of the Caribbean. So it was a nice little tie-in using Haiti.
Yeah, it was Haiti, yeah.
But solving that number one issue in saying now you have a T'Challa who can marry Storm without there being like a direct conflict with Nakia in terms of love interest, maybe as mother, daughter, whatever. But mother, sons, that's one thing, but a direct interest. And now you can say like a T'Challa and Storm might be able to grow up at the same time.
Yeah. They've definitely opened things up.
Exactly. The other thing I would say is that they solved the issue that I feel was never well presented in any of the other T'Challa presentations, was the absolute genius of T'Challa Black Panther. So in the comics, he is amongst the top 5, top 10 smartest people in the Marvel universe, as well as the richest. Yeah, he is the richest and top 10 genius. In this now, you have a Shuri who mentors him, which now makes the genius component of it make much more sense, that I don't think they were able to play out. Like Shuri tried to, in this movie, imply it, by saying like T'Challa taught her how to do all this stuff.
Yeah, I remember that line. Yes,
but we didn't see it. Like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
saw honorable leader, we saw a solid fighter, we saw a guy wanting to supersede the failures of his ancestors, right?
Yep.
Which was great. But I don't think we saw the super genius. We saw that with Shuri. Most of that went to Shuri, and that would again works as a perfect balance off of each other.
Yeah.
He leads, she's in the back, but she creates everything. But now we get the chance to have a T'Challa who I think would end up being far more aggressive, because you get the training of you grow up watching this Western Front constantly trying to attack your country that you're the prince of. You get the genius element because you have Shuri, who's going to be teaching you everything about how to create the herb if anything's necessary, and all these genetic and biological and physics and yada 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 stuff. And then you get to see him grow up as the leader, because I'm pretty sure they're going to make us jump a few years, sort of like they did with Endgame without a blip. But it's like jump a few years to accelerate his growth. But like, it's just, I feel like we're going to get a more authentic, aggressive type of T'Challa that I think we felt. I think that we. But I think we're gonna get one that I think that we weren't fully getting, that we saw a sample of with the brothers, the guys who made Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, I know the ones you're talking about.
Yeah, the Civil War. I think we'll get much more aggressive version of that type of T'Challa, but more acting and more cerebral. So honestly, just a better one. Just a better T'Challa, not a more culturally impactful, just a better action version. T'Challa.
Controversial, a better T'Challa.
Okay, maybe more accurate. Better might be wrong, but more accurate.
Let's remind our friends to please click on the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when we have new videos out.
Subscribe!
Oh, God.